Have you ever wondered what the best-selling home video games were back in 1996? Of course not, because who has time to do that? Well, have no fear, I've got you covered. This list is going to feature 10 of the top-selling home video game console and computer games worldwide for the year 1996. So sit down, put some headphones on, and buckle up, Buttercup, because we're going back to the 90s. 28 years later, and I'm about to show off some of the best-selling video games of 1996.
Plays are bigger than mouths and they're barking. I'm better than you, and I can prove it. Madden NFL 97. If it's in the game, EA Sports. It's in the game.
Starting off at number 10 on our list is Madden NFL 97. It was the first Madden game released for the PlayStation and the Sega Saturn. There were also 16-bit versions made for the Super NES and the Genesis platform, as well as a portable version for the Game Boy. This is the first edition of Madden to implement a salary cap when customizing team rosters. It also features the new Baltimore Ravens, formerly the Cleveland Browns, for the 1996 season. The game also adds a team of real free agents which can be traded and added to other team rosters. Critics hailed the PlayStation version as a strong comeback for the series after the cancellation of the PlayStation version of Madden NFL 96, citing outstanding gameplay graphics and options. The Sega Saturn version was praised for its gameplay, playbook, animation, sound effects, and full motion video that looks like real TV, even with its typical Saturn graininess. The Super NES and Genesis were much less pleased, but they were good in absolute terms, with a wide of selection moves, attention to detail and backgrounds, and is an immensely enjoyable game with great action and stat-soaked strategy. Madden NFL 97 sold a whopping 1 million units worldwide.
私の声が聞こえますか？あなたをずっと待っていました。
画面の中にあなたがいる。スーパーファミコンドラゴンクエスト3、そして伝説へ。12月6日発売。エニックス。
Coming in at number 9 on the list is Dragon Quest III. The first 3 Dragon Quest games are a part of the same story, and Dragon Quest III is the first game chronologically, as well as the third game that features the hero Erdrick. The story follows the hero who is tasked with saving the world from the archfiend Baramos. Gathering a group of companions into a party, the hero must travel the world, stopping at various towns and locations, and make their way to the Demon Lord's lair. Dragon Quest III is noted for greatly expanding on the gameplay of the original Dragon Quest I and II. The game uses basic RPG conventions such as leveling up by gaining experience points and equipping items. The battle system is turn-based like the other games in the series. And while earlier Dragon Quest games were non-linear in structure, Dragon Quest III featured an even more open-world experience. It also allowed the player to freely swap characters in and out of the party, and introduced a day-night cycle in which certain items, characters, and quests are only accessible at specific times of the day. Dragon Quest III sold over 1.4 million units alone in 1996, making it the most successful title in the series to date.
Water churning, tide turning, sun burning, wave crashing, head bashing, ride, gliding, colliding, high flying, fish frying, eye crossing, cookie tossing, snaking, quaking, booty shaking, scrolling, controlling, rock and rolling, wave race 64, the first jetting, sweating in your face race for Nintendo 64. Strap on that seahorse and ride.
Coming in at number 8, we have Wave Race 64, which is a 1996 racing video game developed and published by Nintendo for the Nintendo 64. Originally referred to as F-Zero on water, Wave Race 64 received acclaim from critics who praised the game's satisfying controls and dynamic watery environments. The game is credited with helping Nintendo effectively make the pragmatic leap from the 16-bit 2D graphics of the Super Nintendo to the Nintendo 64's 3D capabilities. The game features 3 single-player modes, championship time trials, and a stunt mode, as well as a multiplayer mode for competitive play. In championship mode, the player must race opponents through a series of courses and win to get first place. Up to 4 levels of difficulty can be chosen: normal, hard, expert, and reverse, the latter being expert with the tracks oriented backwards. Hard, Expert, and Reverse must be unlocked by completing in earlier difficulties. The difficulty also determines the number of courses played, 6 in Normal, 7 in Hard, and 8 in Expert/Reverse. When the player completes a course, points are awarded based on the rank they finished, and if the requirements are not met, then the player will be disqualified and the game will be over. Wave Race 64 sold a whopping 1.1 million copies worldwide.
The beast is back. On the system that keeps pounding out the hits. Super NES. Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest. It's even tougher than the original.
Coming in at number 7, we have Donkey Kong Country 2 for the Super Nintendo. Players control Diddy Kong and his girlfriend Dixie Kong, who must rescue Donkey Kong after he is kidnapped by King K. Rool. The game is set on Crocodile Isle with 8 worlds of amazing environments totaling over 52 levels. The game uses the same SGI technology from the original, which features the use of pre-rendered 3D backgrounds. Diddy Kong's Quest received acclaim, being widely regarded as one of the greatest 2D platformers ever made. Praise was directed at its graphics, gameplay, and soundtrack, and it is the 6th best-selling game on the Super Nintendo. Diddy and Dixie have unique attributes. Diddy is more agile and will run faster, whereas Dixie has a higher jump and can spin her hair in order to glide. The game also features environmental effects throughout some levels, which include fog, rain, and thunderstorms. Some levels feature different mechanics and settings, such as underwater sections, riding a minecart, grappling onto vines, and beehive levels, which feature sticky honey-covered surfaces. In 1996, Donkey Kong Country 2 sold a whopping 1.6 million units worldwide.
Both Donkey Kong Country, last year's biggest hit, and Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest, soon to be this year's biggest hit. Hey, little buddy, want to ride?
Pikachu!
Yeah, whatever. I'll be right back.
Where can you catch all 150 Pokemon? On your Game Boy, that's where. Pokemon for Game Boy is here. With both packs, you can catch them all. Games and systems sold separately.
Coming in at number 6, we have Pokemon Red and Blue. The player controls a protagonist from an overhead perspective and navigates the fictional region of Kanto in a quest to master Pokemon battling. The goal is to become the champion of the Indigo League by defeating the 8 gym leaders and the top Pokemon trainers in the land, the Elite Four. Another objective is to complete the Pokédex, an in-game encyclopedia, by obtaining all 151 Pokemon. Red and Blue use the Game Link cable, which connects 2 Game Boy systems and allows Pokemon to be traded or battled between games. Both versions feature the same plot, and while they can be played separately, players must trade between both games to obtain all the original 151 Pokemon. Red and Blue were well received, with critics praising the multiplayer options, especially the concept of trading. Well, imagine that. Red and Blue are also on the top 100 games of all time. The games also marked the beginning of a multi-billion-dollar franchise and is considered the best-selling RPG on the Game Boy. In 1996, Pokemon Red, Green, and Blue sold a whopping 1.6 million units worldwide.
Yourself? So close. You need a friend to trade with. So you can grab a link cable and a friend with a Game Boy, and with both game packs, you can catch them all.
Something wild is coming. Something you wouldn't expect. It's Donkey Kong Country 3 starring Kiddy Kong. Uglier bosses, incredible levels, and graphics you won't believe. Donkey Kong Country 3 on Super NES.
There's something you don't see every day.
Number 5. Donkey Kong Country 3 Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. It is the third installment of the Donkey Kong Country series and serves as a direct sequel to Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy Kong's Quest. The plot centers on Dixie Kong and her cousin Kiddy Kong in their attempts to save the captured Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong from the series antagonist King K. Rool. Dixie Kong's Double Trouble utilizes the same Silicon graphics technology from its predecessors, which features the use of pre-rendered 3D imagery. The game received positive reviews upon release, critics praised the visuals and various aspects of gameplay, but most were divided over the game's soundtrack. Many of the gameplay elements from the previous games in the series mark a return in this game, such as barrels, bonus levels, which reward the player with special bonus coins, DK coins, animal helpers, and multiplayer mode. Levels in the game include a mixture of platforming, swimming, and on-rail levels. They are based on several returning themes including forest, cliffsides, factories, and mountaintops. The level design is more diverse compared to its predecessors, which include more complex puzzles and obstacles. The game also features animal friends, which return from its predecessors. Returning animals include Ungard the swordfish, Squitter the spider, and Squawks the parrot. New animals include Ellie the elephant, who can suck up water through her trunk to spray enemies with, and Perry the parallel bird, who flies directly above the player characters and can be used to collect out-of-reach items. In 1996, Donkey Kong Country 3 sold a whopping 1.6 million units worldwide.
Always peaceful in the Mushroom Kingdom. Till Smithy the sword shatters the sorrow. Wow! So with his old enemy Bowser and a marshmallow throws lightning. Are you bought evil wedding cakes and the killer Venus flytraps and recovered the 7 stars? Fella's freaky.
Super Mario RPG, only on the system that keeps on kicking. Super NES.
Dig it?
Coming in at number 4, we have Super Mario RPG Legend of the 7 Stars. It is the final Mario game for the Super Nintendo. The story focuses on Mario and his friends as they seek to defeat the Smitty Gang, who have crashed into the world and scattered the 7-star pieces of Star Road. It is the first RPG in the Mario franchise, drawing from major elements of Square's RPG franchises such as Final Fantasy. The main form of fighting enemies is turn-based combat with a party up to 3 characters. It is also the first game in the Mario franchise to have gameplay within an isometric 3D environment, allowing for a new variety of exploration and platforming elements reminiscent of the Super Mario series. Super Mario RPG was acclaimed, particularly for its humor and 3D rendered graphics. And in 1996, it sold a whopping 1.9 million units worldwide.
RPG Super Mario RPG ロールプレイングゲームやったことない人も OK マリオと旅に出ようドラマを作ろうロールプレイングゲームやり尽くした人も Come on 満足させますマリオです Oh yeah スーパーファミコンソフトスーパーマリオ RPG スーパーファミコンが4000円安くなるクーポン券付き
Number 3. Resident Evil. This survival horror game developed and published by Capcom for the PlayStation and Sega Saturn. It is the first game in Capcom's Resident Evil franchise, where players control Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine, members of an elite task force STARS, who must escape a mansion infested with zombies and other monsters. Resident Evil was conceived by the producer Takura Fujiwara as a remake of his 1989 horror game Sweet Home. It was directed by Shinji Mikami. It went through several redesigns, first as a Super NES game in 1993, then a fully 3D first-person game for the PlayStation in 1994, until finally becoming the third-person game it is right now. Gameplay consists of action, exploration, puzzle solving, and inventory management. Resident Evil established many conventions seen later in the series and in other survival horror games, including the inventory system, save system, and use of vitals and use of vital monitoring system instead of a health counter. Resident Evil was praised for its graphics, gameplay, sound, and atmosphere. Although it received some criticism for its dialogue and voice acting, it was an international bestseller. Resident Evil is often cited as one of the best video games of all time. It is also credited with defining the survival horror genre, with returning zombies to popular culture, leading to a renewed interest in zombie films. In 1996, Resident Evil sold a whopping 2.3 million copies worldwide.
今度はゾンビがブールブールバイオハザードデュアルショックバージョンカプコン
If you're looking for the greatest fighters on Earth, this is where you'll find them. Tekken II, powered by Namco.
Coming in at number 2, we have Tekken II, which is a fighting game developed and published by Namco. The second entry in the Tekken series, it was released for arcades in 1995 and then ported to the Sony PlayStation the following year. There are 25 playable fighters in the game, which includes 17 returning veterans and 8 newcomers. The home console version also included new, now staple game modes to the series. Tekken 2 was a critical as well as a commercial success, becoming one of the best-selling PlayStation games. The home console version of Tekken 2 introduced various modes that would become a staple to the series. These include Survival Mode, Team Battle Mode, Time Attack Mode, and Practice Mode. In 1996, Tekken 2 would go on to sell over 2.6 million units worldwide.
ついに100万枚突破。君はもう手に入れたか。プレイステーションなんと鉄拳2。Check this out.
What am I, a monkey? You could zoom in, zoom out, change angles. Go anywhere you want to go, do anything you want to do. Here we go! This place is really sweet. Whoa, I'm out of here.
Change the system.
Coming in at our number 1, we have Super Mario 64. It is the first Super Mario game to feature 3D gameplay, combining traditional Super Mario gameplay, visual style, and characters in a large open world. In the game, Bowser is the primary enemy of the Super Mario franchise. He invades Princess Peach's castle and hides the castle's sources of protection, the Power Stars. It's up to Mario to collect as many Power Stars as he possibly can to unlock enough of Princess Peach's castle to get to Bowser and rescue Princess Peach. Super Mario 64 was highly anticipated by video game journalists and audiences, boosted by advertising campaigns and showings at the 1996 E3 trade show. It received critical acclaim, with reviewers praising its ambition, visuals, level design, and gameplay, though some criticized its virtual camera system, but it is today considered the best-selling Nintendo 64 game ever. Super Mario 64 often is considered the greatest video game of all time, while numerous developers have cited it as an influence on 3D platform games with its dynamic camera system and 360-degree analog controls, establishing a brand new archetype for the genre. In 1996 alone, Super Mario 64 sold over 2.9 million copies worldwide. 1996 is shaping up to be an amazing era for gaming indeed. If you haven't already seen the best-selling video game consoles of 1996 yet, then make sure you head over to my channel and check it out, because we're not done with 1996 just yet. There is so much to cover in this year alone, from arcades, game rentals, Game of the Year awards, and so much more that it'll be covered here soon. So don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so that you won't miss an upcoming video. If there's something you want to see next, let me know in the comments below.